Representatives at Gagetown say the truck was a commercial-type D&D vehicle used at the base. The victim was a civilian employee at Gagetown, and officials say it's not unusual for civilian employees to use these types of vehicles. In the past, the department has had to turn away potential volunteers because they didn't reach the physical requirements necessary for the job. This new idea opens the door for those that want to help and don't have to be in harm's way. Meantime, just up the road from St. Stephen, the town of St. George has its own flooding issues to deal with, as you could see behind me. As for the rest of New Brunswick, up to 100 roads have been closed and about 12,000 NB Power customers were affected by this storm. Tino Makris, Global News, St. George, New Brunswick. With this new information, the developers would know exactly what they're getting into and act accordingly. This inventory is much needed in St. John, and you might even be surprised exactly how many wetlands are located here. So I'm standing at the beginning of the course and I'm about to cross a 175-foot span. Now further down I'll be doing an over 650-foot zip, reaching speeds of up to 40 kilometers an hour. On this boat, it's hard to tell if we're actually on the Makadavic River just outside St. George because, well, there's water everywhere. The waters haven't receded, but the damage is sure to be plentiful.
It's flooded terrible. I've never seen anything like it. All the lowland houses that typically aren't even low are just, there's right to their picture windows.
Corey Leslie's home is one of those affected.
It's a boat in the 4 feet of water in there, yeah. Not good. Piled everything as high as we could and it wasn't high enough.
Now, despite that, he's on the river helping other people get out. Leslie, along with Darren Whittier, already rescued a dog today.
We probably brought seven people down yesterday, half a dozen kids and their wives, and their husbands were kind of hanging out trying to look after their houses,
Back in St. George, the Family Worship Center is acting as the central location of Red Cross aid. Those who are evacuated will eventually make it here for whatever help they need.
They will be bringing them here to be assessed, any help, if no, and all the family members will be meeting them here.
Many of them will be coming in from upriver communities like Bonnie River and Second Falls. The roads leading in there have been flooded and residents are stuck. Getting there by boat can be tricky, especially when you approach the bridges.
You can't get under the bridges now. There's so much water that you kind of got to go through the woods around the bridges and back to the main river again.
Meantime, the Charlotte County EMO is urging those under a flood threat to leave, even those waiting at the Bonnie River Fire Hall.
Get out of your houses, go to safety. Don't think that you can go just to the fire hall and stay there.
Tino Makris, Global News, Makadavic River, New Brunswick. A group of 18 cyclists are in mourning today after one of their own died on Highway 7 towards St. John.
They were traveling in pods of 5 and 3. Now, this one particular pod of 3 cyclists were struck from behind by a truck that was also traveling southbound on Route 7. One individual was killed.
The victim was Andrew Wolf from Brooklyn, New York. He was traveling with a youth-led charity group called the Otisha Project from Ottawa to Halifax. What they do is raise awareness about the environment through theater. During their stop in Grand Bay Westfield, the group was hoping to perform here at the River Valley Middle School. They called at the beginning of September, but nothing was ever arranged. On the project website, Andrew's bio says he was previously a food educator at the Children's Aid Society Go Healthy program. Today on the website, one message was added. The entire Otisha family is mourning today from the tragic loss of a team member. More information will be forthcoming. Brian Green is an avid cyclist, and he says riding on the highway is completely different than urban cycling.
The vehicles move faster. Their response time to anything on the road is shrunk down. Everything is going to be very quick, very dangerous.
Green adds that every cyclist is afraid of transport trucks.
If you're close enough, you can feel a good gust of wind that comes up on your back. But being strong on your bicycle, again, is a factor in that, and you can control a lot of those things. But if you do get close, there's a little bit of suction there. You can feel that.
Yesterday's collision, however, happened on a 4-lane section with plenty of shoulder room. Police say early indications are they were cycling within the Motor Vehicle Act.
They were where they should be on the roadway. We have nothing to indicate that they were breaking any laws at the time.
Meantime, the truck has been seized by RCMP and no charges have been laid against the driver. There's no word on if the group plans on continuing their maritime tour. Tino Makris, Global News, St. John. This is a welcome sight for Alan Manuel. He lives right next door to what was a vacant building.
This one here caught on fire a couple of times, so let me tell you, when you look out your window and it's on fire, that's a pretty scary thing.
The city's tried to get a handle on the dilapidated building issue. They want to demolish them, but that requires lots of red tape. So what they did was get the fire department to do it for them using the Fire Prevention Act.
We're writing fire marshal's orders against the buildings and the owners so that they can realize that they either have to take out a building permit and start that process of rehabilitating the structure, or they have a certain amount of time to have the building demolished.
If the owners don't comply, the fire department takes their case to the Crown Prosecutor. Just down the block from this demolition, crews were hard at work finishing off another one. It's a safety hazard this neighborhood could do without, making one less target for arsonists.
You get the right wind, and the buildings was damn close together, that you get the right wind and everything's going to go.
Now, what you're seeing here today might not be the last of the demolitions. There's about 120 vacant buildings in St. John, and the fire department considers 25 of those a serious safety concern.
They're at the end of their life cycle. The economics aren't there, and the best thing to do is to have them torn down.
This kind of cleanup can spur on more urban development. An eyesore like boarded up, half-burnt buildings doesn't exactly attract people to these communities.
What happens is the other buildings start to deteriorate. Once you remove that eyesore and put something in its place, people are encouraged to clean up the streets, paint their homes, do whatever, to have that safe, clean neighborhood.
Tino Makris, Global News, St. John. Salmon farmers across New Brunswick are breathing a collective sigh of relief as Health Canada has approved another tool in their arsenal battling sea lice.
We're confident that this product has no impact to the marine environment. However, we are going to again test it over the next 3 months.
The product is called Alpha Max and its target is sea lice. Sea lice are parasites that feed on salmon.
Every farmer has certain issues that they have to deal with, and if we have the proper tools to use at the proper times, then they will not be a problem.
Fundy Baykeeper members, however, aren't too keen on seeing another chemical in the bay. They add these sea lice infestations could be the result of the salmon farmers themselves.
Their cages are overstocked. They have too many cages too close together. That's why we have a sea lice problem.
Matthew Abbott adds this could affect other fisheries like the lobster industry. The Atlantic Canada Fish Farmers Association, however, says Alpha Max was tested last year.
Following those treatments, those lobsters went back to the St. Andrews Biological Station, and they have been observed for the past year, and we have seen no mortality, and we've seen no impact to their life stage progress.
The treatments will be restricted to tarped cages or well boats where the fish would be treated in a large hold and re-released into the cages.
The pesticide-laden water from the wellboat ends up in the marine environment anyway. They've got to dump it somewhere.
The industry, however, is still looking at all options, which include greener alternatives.
Wellboats themselves, by using them, you reduce the quantity of product you use by over 50%. We are looking at lice traps.
Abbott, however, isn't convinced and says there are more sustainable practices the industry can use, like closed containment on land.
We know that it's toxic. The tests tell us that it's toxic to sea lice and other crustaceans. And so this is a gamble.
Tino Makris, Global News, Back Bay, New Brunswick.